Today's podcast is brought to you by Quantrix Modeler Introductory Training, teaching the fundamental foundation that you need to become a Quantrix master. Go to QuantrixAuthority.com to learn more.
Show me how you do Quantrix.
Hey, welcome back to another Netcast. I'm Rich Lopez, Quantrix Authority. Sincerely appreciate you joining me today for episode number 210, Applying Curves to a Target to Breakout Overtime. I have here a question sent in to me at quantrixauthority@gmail.com from Jean Vaughn. And what Jean Vaughn wants to do is he wants to have a matrix where he has certain items going across the top, and then he has certain time intervals. And these are just listed as A1, A2, and A3. And then he has a target that he wants to apply across these intervals by this percent of the total. So he wants to take this 10 here, that's his target, and he wants to apply 10 of 40, which is 25%. He wants to apply 25% in period A1 and get 2.5 as the value. He wants to do the same with A2 and get 2.5. But then he wants to apply 50% because 20 is 50% of 40. He wants to apply that 50% to this 10, this target, and get 5 here. And he has done that using this formula right here. But the problem is this isn't scalable. This is really how you would do it in that lesser program, in a two-dimensional spreadsheet. And it's not scalable because if I hit A5 or I create a group and I have A5 here, these formulas are all pointing to A4. If I keep adding items or I try to group them, it just doesn't work. This is a very, traditional way of doing it. But you can do this in Quantrix, and it is fantastic. And it has scale and it has complexity when you're doing it in Quantrix. So what I've done here is I'm going to get rid of this lesser program way, and I'm going to say, let's have a matrix that has items in it. And these items have targets associated with them, 10, 20, and 15. And then what I want to have is I want to have another matrix that has a measure of allocation key, right? This is kind of like my curve that's going to be applied. And then with that, I have a time interval. So I'm just calling this interval 1 or I1, I2, and I3. And I want to apply some sort of curve, if you will, that's a percent of the sum here. I want to apply this curve to this target. And that's what I do down here in this matrix that I called results. So what I've done to build this matrix is I've pulled down my interval category to here. It's linked. If I were to hover on that, you can see that it's linked to allocation keys. And then I've also brought my item down here to get my items A, B, C, and D. And that is linked to targets over here. And then I've just simply added this metric called allocation. So now to calculate allocation, I say my allocation is equal to my target that I'm pulling from here, and I'm dividing it by the interval, the sum of my intervals here times my allocation key percent here. And really this is my curve, and it's kind of giving me a percentage, this last part of my formula right here that I'm applying to the target for each one of the intervals. So this is 25% of 40, this is 25% of 40, and this is 50% of 40. And if I'm applying that to a target of 10, I would expect to see 2.5 here, 2.5 here, and 5 here. And that's exactly what's happening, and it's giving me a sum of 10. So that's how I would apply an allocation curve, if you will, or some sort of curve to a target, and have it be across some sort of interval of time, or just, some sort of interval. Is I would use 3 different matrices to do that in Quantrix instead of trying to do it in really a lesser program way of a two-dimensional spreadsheet like you have here, because this in no way enables scale. It certainly enables complexity, because, you'll get lost in the details here and you'll have lots of formulas. But this really enables scale, and it enables complexity, and makes it really easy to follow and to debug as you need to, or understand the logic. Also, one thing I want to point out is, what if I have a different allocation key that I want to apply to different items? Well, how do I do that? Well, it's totally awesome how easy it is to do that in Quantrix. I simply drag item up here, and then I could assign different keys up here, or different curves, if you will, or different allocation percentages here, and I could get an individualized or a customized result based off of a customized curve. So that's how I would do it, Jean Vaughn. I would certainly not do it this way here, because this is certainly convoluted and confusing. I hope that is helpful. If you have any questions about how to apply curves to a target, to break it out over time, or anything about Quantrix, I do hope that you'll reach out to me at quantrixauthority@gmail.com. I absolutely love Quantrix. I want to make you a Quantrix master. I also encourage you to check out my training at quantrixauthority.com, especially for you new users. It really will give you the fundamental foundation that you need to become a Quantrix master. And always, please join me again for another episode of Quantrix Authority with Rich Lopez.